on AMC.
Hello, I'm Peter Guber.
And I'm Peter Bart, and welcome to Shootout. You know, Pete, I've been running Variety for a number of years now, and the tradition always been to announce pictures in connection with the star. It is as though the star has to trigger the movie, at least in the press. But if you think about it, think about these stars. Ben Stiller, Jodie Foster, Cate Blanchett, Reese Witherspoon, Brad Pitt, Halle Berry, Jude Law, Jamie Foxx, and on and on. The point being that all of these stars have opened in movies that have significantly underperformed or tanked. The point being, our stars becoming something of an anachronism. You remember the days, it wasn't that long ago, when there were these self-anointed geniuses at every studio, and they would say, okay, given this star, we know I'll guarantee you this much from the theaters, and this much from foreign, and this much from Italy, and this much from home video, and they would actually represent that the presence of a star in a movie would actually guarantee you a certain sum of money. Boy, is that yesterday's news.
Only partially, as always with everything, with your editorial species, all right? And that's this. In the other part of the business, the non-studio business, where individuals have got to market the financing of the film, where they got to put their film together with different territories and different rights and video, those stars help gain the financial resources to make the film. You go to Patrick Waxberger at Summit or some of these big independent distributors overseas, you need some of those celebrities and some of those stars to get those advances. That's still right. Today.
But I would suggest that something has changed, that the idea of a movie star per se as a financial, a commercial entity, that has simply gone out of existence. The thing I think everyone has forgotten is that the studios used to really invest in a star. They used to invest in a better nose, a better jaw, a name. They'd invent their backgrounds. They'd certainly publicize them assiduously. There was a real investment in a star under contract. Today, stars are sort of knocking around. They're independent contractors. Nobody except the people they pay, their manager and their publicist, really give a damn about their future and about sustaining their reputation. But the fact is that the stars are not sustaining themselves as superstar entities.
So when you look at Lions for Lambs with Tom Cruise and Robert Redford and Meryl Streep, stars of 2.5 generations, would you say that doesn't have pull power, doesn't have sampling power, it can't open the film with those stars?
Well, it's an interesting question. In that particular case, these three stars have certainly invested in an idea. They've invested in the fact that they can do a movie that has a specific message.
I think that's a cautionary tale. I think ultimately the subject matter of a film can overwhelm the star's luminosity. And the idea of putting one of those stars in a particular action film or a comedy star is a real brand. You know, Ben Stiller is a real comedy brand, but they didn't really like Heartbreak Kid.
Well, that's the ongoing argument for generations has always been typecasting, because actors don't like to be typecast. But studios, producers, they like to identify a certain character with a certain role, because that's how the audience then identifies them.
And these studios do not want to pay $15 million and 15% of the gross. So you're seeing more and more films now trying to be built without the stars. The 10,000 years BC, the Star Trek, you know, Transformers, whole bunches of films now are saying if we can just avoid that payday, but still get the event quality, let's go that way.
And interestingly, when there is a star presence in a film, as Tom Hanks, Julia Roberts, Charlie Wilson's War, it still embodies a story or an idea that the actors want to get across. That's clearly their motivation.
And those films, do they benefit in the marketing because of those stars?
They better, right, Pete?
If they don't pull them in the first week, then they haven't done their job.
So I was a straight man in this bunch of complete and utter, you know, loonies on speed. And I could hear the music suffering, so it was very frustrating.
Don't you know who I am?
Mr. Scrooge, I presume.
We prefer to be called elves, if you don't mind.
You are my best Christmas present.
No!
Oh, that's wonderful.
Humbug, I tell you, humbug. Merry Christmas to everybody.
A lawman who thought he'd seen everything.
I don't want to meet something I don't understand.
He feels personally overcome by his inability to deal with this new kind of criminality.
A killer
I'm looking for Llewellyn Moss.
who will stop at nothing.
His duty is to bring fate to your life.
And the man caught between them.
I don't come back, you tell Mother I love her.
I got a bad feeling, Llewellyn.
The National Board of Review has awarded No Country for Old Men the best picture of the year. Rolling Stone calls it a new career peak for the Coen brothers. Brilliantly executed.
It's different. I mean, it's different from anything we've done before.
Mesmerizing filmmaking and masterful performances. A stunning achievement in storytelling.
You feel that you have it all figured out, and then you go around the next corner, and then bang.
Breathtaking.
Joel and Ethan are the perfect directors for this book.
Dazzling and intoxicating. Rolling Stone raves it's the best picture of the year.
Call it friendo.
No Country for Old Men. Rated R. Now playing everywhere.
Introducing the D64 series, the slimmest, lightest Aquas ever. From the leading innovator in liquid crystal television, Sharp.
This holiday season, leave the perfect hint for your wish list. Dreams come true during the Lincoln Wish List event, featuring the Lincoln Navigator with the season's hottest new must-haves, like a reverse camera system and the first-in-class fold-flat power third-row seat. Find the ultimate holiday gift during the Lincoln Wish List event.
Roger Daltrey of The Who is a legendary rock and roller, and you worked with him as an actor, didn't you?
Yeah, we did Tommy with him, and it was a total hit. Ken Russell directed it. Let's take a look at a clip from Amazing Journey, The Story of The Who.
See me! When I sing, I try to live the song and live the emotion of the song. It's just all about expression of any given emotion. Heal me! I find it so hard to articulate what I feel when I'm singing, because I feel everything I'm singing about, but the space I'm in doesn't exist. The only description I can give it is, it's almost like you're in a transcendental state. It's another world.
Sir Roger Guber and I have lived through many examples where we couldn't come up with the title of a movie. We went back and forth, nothing seemed to work, but when I saw the doc, I realized that coming up with the name of a rock group, that's hard too. I mean, you went through The Hair, Detour.
No, we thought about The Hair. We didn't use it,
right.
But we thought about it. I mean, bad enough thinking about it, isn't it? We were the Detours. We then became The Who. We tried The Who. Someone threw out The Who. We thought, that sounds stupid enough to be a group name. And we tried it, and then someone else came in and said, oh, that's far too old-fashioned, because we were playing kind of Chicago blues kind of stuff with long hair. And they decided to totally remodel the band on a mod fashion, very sharp. And he changed our name to the High Numbers. And we actually made our first record under the name of the High Numbers.
Sounds like a Vegas act.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It would be much more apt today than High Numbers, you know.
Yeah.
But in those days, it wasn't a drug culture, really, in those days.
Yeah.
But anyway, then all the kids started saying, you know, The Who was a much better name. You know, it's a stupid name. And so we went back to it. and after it's so right, because graphically you can do so much more with it.
music is always of the period. Whatever music is made is always reflecting the period to some respect, and certainly the Who and Tommy reflected the period.
That, yeah.
And its narrative, the narrative of that music and that album was a story of the period, of the disenfranchised.
It was a story of a generation searching. And me as a singer, it was a part of my life where I was completely lost. I'd been thrown out of the band in '65 and then brought back into the band 3 months later on a promise that I would be a completely different character than I was.
Yours or their promise?
And my promise that, you know, oh yeah, I'll give up being a naughty boy and fighting and all that, and I will toe the line. And by the time we got to '68, where we recorded Tommy, and it was finished, I suddenly realised that Tommy was reflecting what I'd been for the last 3 years. I'd been deaf, dumb and blind, searching for me.
But there are two versions that I read about why you were tossed out of the group. One was that because you like to fight a lot, but the other was that you objected to their use of drugs, amphetamines in particular.
Yeah, they did like to do a lot of amphetamines, because we were doing sometimes 3 shows a night in different, you know,
you needed them.
100-mile journeys in between. Yeah, and unlucky for me, I couldn't take them. I was a singer, and anyone who's taken those things know that the first thing that happens is your voice dries up. So it was death to a singer. So I was a straight man in this bunch of complete and utter, you know, loonies on speed, and I could hear the music suffering. So it was very frustrating. So I flushed the drugs down the toilet one night in a complete fit of anger, and a huge fight ensued. And that's when they kicked me out. They said, we can't go on like this. So I said, well, I can't go on like that either. So it kind of parted ways, but they, you know, the proviso to come back into the band was that you stop fighting. So then it was just a matter of learning how to get what I wanted without fighting, and you know, we're getting there.
Yeah.
What did you think when Stigwood approached you guys about doing the movie Tommy? What was your first
we'd always.
And Stigwood was a daft character. You remember him? He was, boy, he was really out there.
That's what I loved about those days. I mean, those Barnum and Bailey characters, you know, real chances. And it was just like the audacity of making a rock opera in the first place, and then the audacity of wanting to make a rock opera a film. You know, it was Tommy at the time would have made. We were on Decca Records, right? And they probably would have earned you know, $30–40 million, which is a lot of money in those days, out of Tommy. We went to them for $1 million for a film budget to make Tommy in 1970, and they wouldn't give it to us.
Okay, now full disclosure.
So
were you
thank
there?
God for...
No, I wasn't at Universal. That was at Columbia. Ned Tannen was at Universal.
Okay,
at that time.
but who turned him down? You did.
No, I didn't.
No,
We did it.
Some
you did.
We did the movie.
And did you? Now let's just get this straight. Now, were you fair in the bookkeeping toward Roger in later years?
I did it just the way they did it then. One for me, one for
you
me,
know,
one
the
for
studios.
me, one for me.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. I think that is actually true. He's telling the truth. It makes a change. Thank God for people like you. They're taking all the flack in the office for making all this outrageous material that they didn't understand either.
Was there much
It
flack
worked.
at that time?
Yeah. I remember Leo Jaffe used to call from his Fifth Avenue office every day saying, I looked at the dailies, people are smashing pinball machines, I don't know what's going on. You only have Jack Nicholson, he was in it for one day. Where is the rest of Jack Nicholson?
Oh, really?
You know, it was...
Elton John was one day.
So who started breaking things? Did he, or was it you with breaking guitars, or where did that tradition start?
That started in a small club in London where the ceiling was very low, and Pete used to have this strange way of playing. Right. And he did that with a guitar one night, way up there, and the guitar neck broke on the ceiling. So he stuck with this guitar with all the strings falling down, and he thought, and he just got angry with it. And smashed it to smithereens. And the crowd went absolutely berserk. And again, it was like one of those things, like choosing the right name. People noticed, and then people talked. So you think, well, let's just keep smashing guitars. Yeah. It was very simple.
So let's take a look at a clip from The Amazing Journey, the Story of the Who.
I started to
feel accepted again in the band during Tommy.
Roger became Tommy, became this figure, then it equalised. And then we were unbelievably potent because we were balanced. It was a marriage, but it was a good marriage. Those were glorious years.
Behind you, I see the mirror. On you, I see the glory.
We're now joined by producer Nigel Sinclair and co-director and editor Paul Crowder.
So welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So looking at the doc, there's such a profusion of interviews, of clips, this tremendous amount of material. How did you get access to all of that?
The keys came from him, went to you, and then what happened?
Well, we put an ad on a website asking fans to send in clips. We received hundreds of clips, all kinds of things.
It did. Well, they compiled an amazing amount of stuff. A lot of stuff came in on DVD, came in from bootlegs and stuff, you know, stuff that hadn't been seen. People had small, tiny clips, one of which was the Leeds University in 1970, which was discovered in somebody reckons a trash can up at the university.
That's the old excuse of the bootlegger.
Found it in the trash can. I didn't make it up. And it was just this bloke who had a Super 8 on a stand, and he was just, I guess he must have only had one reel of film, and he just starts it and just gets little tiny snippets. We actually stuck it all together and sunk it up with the CD. Well, you got us the Railway Hotel footage.
Yes. Oh, that's my footage.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I mean, I own that. Yeah. Again, found in a skip.
Right.
This footage was shot by our managers back in 1964, right. And I bought it. Had to buy it off an anonymous dealer for an extortionate amount of money, my own product, and so so I'd seen that, yeah.
But in that respect, they just they allowed us to create completely, gave us you know, the respect and just let us make what we wanted to make.
Artistic license.
Yes.
Paul had a 3-hour cut, and we would read we tried to decide what the film was telling us, because you know, if you're telling the story of a rock band, you've got 4 young kids from mostly working class London, they make it to the top. And that's a great story to tell. You know, it's inspirational. And then when you get to the top, the problem is what happens next. Right. And initially, you know, we had everything in there. We had Live Aid, we told every detail, and it was another hour longer. And Paul and I were looking at one day, and there was a line Pete says in the film, The End of the Isle of Wight. That's when the band came together, when Roger became Tommy and it became a marriage. And those were the glorious years. It was a good marriage. And I said, that's the story. It's the story of their relationship. And everything else basically focuses on that. And we decided, because in the end, you know, you have to decide, why do you care? Yeah. Why do you care about these people? And that wasn't it, Paul? That was the breakthrough, really, for us on a Sunday afternoon. I remember after I kicked the wasteful basket at the wall at one point. You know.
Well, there was so much that we didn't want to cut. That, you know, we had this 3-hour film. We even contemplated doing it old-fashioned way with an intermission and everything. But we liking it to killing children or cutting off limbs. You know, it's some parts of the film you've created, you're so attached to them.
You have to be ruthless.
Yeah, you have to be ruthless. You have to always serve the picture.
But I'm glad that you always cut back to the mums, because mothers of rockers always describe their children as being absolute angels. So there'd be a cut of you beating the shit out of somebody, and then Mum would be saying, he was a lovely child.
We never got any, you know, they didn't watch it, they hadn't watched it. Management, Trinifold, were watching it, and they were sort of keeping an eye on, you know, things as they were progressing. Right. And we got some, you know, some feedback from them, and we made a few adjustments.
Well, the truth is, I don't care what he says about me. I'm sure he doesn't care what I say about him.
Right.
I think about all the things sometimes that kind of wind me up about Pete, but I wouldn't have him any other way. Wow. Yeah. It'll be dull. It'll be a dull, boring existence being with someone that was nice all the time. And I'm sure, you know, that's the great relationships are built on that.
Right. That's the color of it. That's great. And I think it captures
I feel about you.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Guys, thank you for coming in and talking about it, because it's
good luck.
It's fascinating.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
All the best.
AMC explores a film that created a nostalgia phenomenon. Movies that shook the world. American Graffiti. Next.
as dazzling and rich as a great Dylan album.
You're kidding me, Ray. I can't watch this.
The nation's top critics agree. A masterwork. 4 stars. Brilliant. A tour de force. An unmissable movie event. I'm Not There. Rated R. Now playing select theaters.
I want a kimono. I want a boomerang.
Hey, I'll see what I can do.
All right, we have an 8 a.m. call to London. 7:30, we are in rehearsal. 10 o'clock.
Read the script tonight, Beyonce.
My part is Christine. You're going to love it. It's a very good one. They want to meet and...
You know, I've been to Madrid so many times, and I've never seen Madrid.
There it is, Madrid.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Walk high. Step out. Go for broke. Here we go. Oh. All right? I hope that don't happen tonight. Good job.
Hey, the designer's here.
Or black.
The black one's left. On. Mom, please. Do you need anything? A boomerang.
Can I get it for you?
I'll get it myself. It's for my nephew.
Okay, but then at 2, what I need you to do...
Beyonce.
You like Tokyo?
Have you seen much of Hamburg?
What's your favorite part of London?
Turn down service? Oh, no, thank you. I don't have time to waste. That's why I shop online. Or time to worry. That's why I'm a card member.
Are you using a card you trust when you shop online? Are you a card member?
It's a fruitcake.
Happy holidays. Oh, happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Is that the same?
Yeah.
At least you can keep your heartburn from coming back with Prilosec OTC, the only OTC heartburn remedy that works to block heartburn with 1 pill a day. The round-the-clock heartburn blocker.
The magic continues on DVD. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
We're forming some sort of wizard army.
Exciting, isn't it?
Buy the 2-disc special edition with 15 minutes of never-before-seen footage. Take a personal tour of the film set with Tonks. Be an editor and get the chance to edit your own scene from the movie. And so much more. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Special edition DVD.
Marzipan City, home to legendary chef Mung Pao. The ladies think I'm a sweet treat. And this is my young and treasured apprentice, Chowder.
Excitement!
Chowder has big dreams of becoming a great chef. But whenever he's in the mix, Chowder! It's a potential recipe for disaster. Sweet beans in a basket. Chowder, Friday nights at 7:30. Only on Cartoon Network.
Look what happened to your home phone bill. Did your phone rate start here and keep going up? With Vonage, your rate starts low and stays low.
No hidden fees, no sticker shock when you get your bill each month.
I'm saving money by just having the phone line through them versus bundling.
I have no complaints. I'm like, woohoo!
Enjoy clear digital phone sound quality using your high-speed internet connection. Try Vonage for 60 days risk-free.
Call 1-800-971-0702. That's 1-800-971-0702 today.
Francis Ford Coppola, after 9 years, brings us his next movie, and its star is Tim Roth.
Tim is well remembered for his role in Reservoir Dogs and, of course, won an Oscar nomination for Rob Roy.
Perhaps you'll take us back to a time before history. The origins of language, which is where I've always wanted to go, but I never could. But it's helping me finish my work.
Good, I want to help you.
You know, I'm 88 years old, really.
If I added up all the years Rupini lived, I'd be older than you.
Well, then, let's go dancing.
Well, what's tricky talking about the movie that you did with Francis is that it's hard to explain your character in a way that sounds particularly accessible to an audience. So when you read the script for the first time, you said to yourself, I don't quite get this?
No, I didn't. I don't get this. I mean, I didn't get any of it. And, I mean, for me, he's an old man. He's a 70-year-old man who is at the end of his life, as far as he's concerned. He's becoming senile, and he wants to end it. He wants to kill himself. So he goes to Bucharest, and he, you know, busy town. He's crossing the street to a place where he's going to kill himself, and he's struck by lightning, and he's burned to a crisp, and he's taken to a hospital. And when he emerges from the bandages, he's 40 years old, and he gets a chance. And not only that, but his ability to store knowledge in his mind and to absorb knowledge and to learn is beyond anything human. It was an extraordinary experience for me. And it was actually, for me, it was welcome back to acting, because I've been kind of absent from that for quite some time, even though I was pretending to do it. Well, I mean, I found that it had been a long time. It had been since I directed a film. That was when I decided that's when I really lost my interest in fact.
When you directed a film, you lost your interest in acting?
In acting, yeah. Not in actors, but in acting for myself.
Why? What was the connection?
I found, you know, it's a much better job. I mean, it's the best job in the world for me to direct, but I can't afford to do it, you know. But it is an extraordinary time. But and so I was waiting, really, as you know, I was waiting to get the buzz back.
Do you like villains or heroes? Which do you prefer?
Villains can be fun if they're well written, and sometimes if they're not well written, it can be more fun because you have to figure out a way to slide a performance past the director. And generally they're remembered more by an audience. You know, they're fun. I mean, although heroic characters such as Gregory Peck's characters or Henry Fonda's character, for example, in 12 Angry Men, much more memorable, I think, than any bad guy, pretty much.
Well, your character is heroic in this picture in the sense that you kind of lose your mind, but then you get the girl.
No, I do get the girl, but I don't know which one gets the girl. Which part of my mind, the one that I've lost my mind to. I don't know. I think he's gentle, and I think that's the difference.
Before you met Francis, you wrote him a few letters early in your career, and suddenly they reappeared later when you met him.
What happened was, when I was, I think, 17, I knew that you had to send out resumes, and so I wrote 3 or 4 letters, and I took a photograph with one of those cables on the camera. I wrote these letters, you know, I think I wrote one to Kubrick, one to Scorsese, and one to Francis. And it was like, "Dear Mr. Coppola, I really like your movies. If ever you need an English actor, I'm your man, you know. Yours sincerely, Tim Roth." And it goes in the post, and there it goes, and that was it. And years and years later, Francis was auditioning for On the Road. At that time, he was going to direct On the Road, the Kerouac. So I sat with him, and he said, "I've got something to show you." And he reached in his bag. I remember it was a really nice bag. He reached in his bag, and he pulled out this letter, and he said, "Take a look at this." And it was that letter. And he said, "I keep everything. I keep everything." It's probably some vault. And there was a letter, and he wouldn't let me have it. I wanted it, and he said, "Oh, no, put it back in his bag."
What do you think the magic is in Francis? Because you talk to anybody, they still believe he has the magic. What do you think it is?
He's the mad poet.
Yeah, I think he's an adventure.
Yeah, right.
I think he is. I mean, and I think he has an adventurous spirit, and I think so. That's the poet in him. But most people will not, cannot bring themselves, to keep taking risks, and he keeps taking them.
He does, and he covets it. I mean, he once said to me, twice said to me, "You know, when you gave me The Godfather to read, you destroyed my life, and you created it."
Yeah. I mean, and the struggles that when he went through to make that film and to make it the way that he wanted to. We have it now. It's ours now. So.
Yeah, and I'm dying to see how the picture is accepted, and you're going to have an adventure in taking it around.
It'll be an odd journey. I think we start off in Rome. So
yeah, the Rome Film Festival.
Yeah, which is a fairly new festival. I don't know anything about it. But,
well, good luck.
It's well financed. That it is. A lot of money in behind the Rome Film Festival. So live well.
Get a nice room then.
Yes.
Oh,
nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
For more of our interviews, go to amctv.com.
We will see you next time.
I wanted to, if I was going to direct, I wanted to make a film that I really cared about, and I really, it's a big commitment to make a film as a director, I think. So you better love it. It better be something you really, really care about. Otherwise, you're just a hack, And I didn't want to be a hack. I may only do it that one time, but I didn't. It had to be something I can walk away from very, very proud, and I am.
AMC explores a film that created a nostalgia phenomenon. Movies that shook the world. American Graffiti. Now.